obviously you are obviously a big fan of music.
Mm.
I'm a professional in music. I'm a big fan of films. You're a professional in film,
Yeah,
so like it's going to be very interesting to see, um, like how a critique would talk about a film compared to me.
yeah.
I can almost guarantee you now there's probably 10 films that I love that you would actually think on a critique level are terrible. Like, but that'll be very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously in terms of like maybe total, maybe you don't want to be turning it like specifically saying something in that. But I think yeah, gaming and sort of music and that's always been massive things in our lives anyway. So they're like very good things to
Just
speak about.
natural
But
thing to
the
discuss.
trivial things like I mean my favorite topic to debate about is the whole non-binary situation and where that's going.
Ooh.
Like I love speaking about that, but again, we don't have to do that in this episode because that's probably going to be 30 minutes on its own. Like, but
Wait, say something. Let me.
like
What's your
like
initial?
me
Your
personally, I like I think personally the exposure that younger people are having with this particular topic, it happens way too soon and it's way too in depth for their age.
mm,
I think social media, like providers, like all the big major social media brands, I think they should be making a very conscious effort. If you put in that you're a certain age, you don't see anything about it. I think people are being not necessarily manipulated, but they're being exposed to information that they mentally
aren't ready
aren't
to take
mature
on.
enough to actually understand or deal with, and that's what's causing people to sort of take these leaps that necessarily they might not have.
Mm.
Hence, like if you look at you go back a few years where people weren't exposed to it younger, there was nothing, none of it. But now people are exposed to
So
it.
it's
It's
suddenly
everywhere. You know.
that's my thing on it, and I don't want to offend nobody. What I'm about to say, I don't think is going to offend anybody. But my whole thing is, if I just chronicle time from my, and not to say that what I see is what's going on, because there's stuff that I might not be privy to and that might pass me by, and I might just not be aware of it. But from what I've been aware of, it feels like the non-binary thing specifically, like transgender, you've always that's always been there. I've always been aware of that. But the non-binary thing specifically for me, and not to discredit it, but it feels like it's emerged in like the last 5 6 years
Yeah, I feel
out
the
of
same.
nowhere, and it's like what. And once again, not to disrespect anybody that identifies that way, but it's like what where did that come from? Like, and why? Because one other thing I'm quite strongly on in regards to this, I believe as a man, men naturally have feminine traits. And there might be certain things, probably can't think of an example off the top of my head right now, but that I would consider to be a feminine trait that I have as a man.
Yeah,
But I'm still
I'm
consider
not.
myself to be a man, so I wouldn't. And I wonder whether certain people that are non-binary have that similar thought as me, but instead of just thinking, and this is not me trying to change anyone's like mind, it's just me just speaking about how I view it myself. Instead of viewing yourself as just the man that I am and I have feminine traits, I wonder if that's what then makes people think, okay, I'm a man, I've got these feminine traits, so now I don't identify as either. And
Yeah.
maybe that's where that comes from. I don't know, but
It'd be massive. It'd be massively interesting to to be able to sort of understand how these individuals feel. But I, my argument is not the individuals that have come out at their ages
yes,
and said
this
they now feel this way. It's how many more people are doing it, and it's like, is that because they're being influenced too young?
yeah.
I'm not saying influence like you have to be non-binary, but it's more like the feelings that you're having that we had in like 70s, 80s, 90s.
Mm.
That was just like, right, you either feel that way or you don't.
Yeah.
um it's now, if you feel that way, it could be any number of a million possibilities, and you could be any number of a million things
Yeah,
if you feel
whereas
this way,
like
whereas before it's like, right, you have feminine traits, or you like men, or
yeah,
you like both, or
it was
you
more
feel
simple, wasn't
like
it?
you're a certain
Whereas
type of way. Like if you were a man who generally felt like a woman and wanted to be a woman, you could become a woman, or you could start acting accordingly.
yeah.
But again, a lot of this came out like it's like nowadays you've got like 10, 11 year olds that are saying that they think they're something else now. And it's like, are you, it's just it's the same approach that you have to everything, which is like, are you mentally mature enough for that? Do you like, I have the same thing as like when like you get the 10-year-old come up to me and they're like, I'm in love.
Yeah,
And
he's
like,
like, do you even know what that is,
you're not
bro?
old enough for love yet. Like,
Yeah.
I regret to inform you, but
You're wrong.
you're not there yet. like,
Are you
like,
ready for the
yeah,
heartbreak? Are you ready
the
for that test?
concept. So, yeah, do you know what I mean? You ain't lived. You ain't done through the trenches of love
pain.
like I have.
Oh, that
But it's
heartbreak will
like,
create a monster.
I feel the same way as like it's like that. It's not me saying specific, but then it's also like you said, where did it come from? But it's also like, where does it end?
Mm.
Like I watched I used to be a massive fan of Doctor Who, and there's obviously in the film industry and in the TV series industry, what would you call it, media basically, right?
Yeah.
There's things that are things, like you wouldn't go, and this is a really weird one that you bear with me, but you wouldn't go and get a white Django unchained.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But now there's like women doctors and black doctors, but now like the newest doctor is black and gay.
Yeah.
It's the one from Sex Ed, and it's the way that they're portrayed as well. It's like it's they haven't portrayed right. Now we've got a black and gay doctor, which is completely fine. They've portrayed him as like he's come out and he has to express and show and make a big point that he is this.
Gay.
Like as soon as he comes out, he kisses the doctor on the face and says, "I love you."
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And it's like where does it end in terms of that? Because you're fully entitled to feel how you want to feel and be whatever you want to be, but like, do you have to make that much of a conscious effort to show it? Like the whole episode that I watched, you'd have to watch it if you get a chance. Go back and watch it. Like it's not Doctor Who anymore.
Yeah,
it's like the companion is I might have this wrong, so don't quote me and don't like cancel me straight away. I think she is mixed race or black and was a boy or was a man, sorry,
right.
not a boy. And the whole episode is basically like them making a massive point
About
that this is now a thing.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, just have it there.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You were a boy, you're now a girl. You
normalize it, like treat it like it's normal. Like
it's it. You're a boy who is a girl, or you don't identify as any of them. That's fine. You're now the companion. You're black and you're gay. You're now the doctor.
But, and then move on and let's have the story.
Like,
let's have the adventure.
Yeah, like I'm here to watch Doctor Who. I'm here to watch. Like you fight aliens. I'm not here. I'm not here to watch you express yourself. Who you are personally
doesn't really matter. It's like, but if you're prioritizing that ahead of the story at large, it's like, what am I watching then?
But the whole episode, honestly, like the whole episode is a statement. It's nothing. Like even to the point where like I can't remember what it was, but like at the end of it. It becomes that the new companion, who's now a woman who used to be a man, like holds hands with Catherine Tate, who's also a woman who's the companion, who is also part-time, or I don't know what's going on there. But and then like they're like, well, us as women Time Lords, we can do something you men can't. And then he's like, what? And he's like, they're like, just let it go. And it's like, but this has no relevance to anything I've watched. It's like there's no relevance to any Doctor Who episode I've ever seen.
it's just all this extra stuff.
All you've done is just basically try and show yourself as a media icon that you're now inclusive of stuff. But there's other ways you can show it, like just involving.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You know? That's my thing on it. Is like, there's nothing wrong with having a non-binary doctor or this, that, and the other. Just have it. Maybe make a point about it to begin with if you want to. But then, like, just move. Like, I think the way to do these type of things is to normalize these things. If you want to normalize it, you got to just normalize it. But by putting like a spotlight on it within the actual episode, I get it if it's like the press kind of thing and you're making a point about it there to make people aware. But in the actual show, the show should be about what the show's about, not focused on that. And I've noticed it's something like Disney does a lot now. And I've kind of like, when it comes to like the MCU and all that, I'm like kind of all the way kind of like, I don't care about it anymore. I don't really pay attention. That's mainly because of the story and like after Endgame. Once
that first,
like I feel like that Endgame was the perfect ending for like that whole kind of, it was a perfect crescendo for the whole of the MCU. And then they tried to carry it on, and I feel like they didn't really have much direction with what they're doing. But what they've started to do now is the same thing, and I think Disney do it with all the properties they own. So you see it in MCU, you see it in Star Wars, Indiana Jones. there's always some sort of weird dynamic between either the gender or the sexuality,
Yeah.
where it's not just a case of having different genders and sexualities coexisting in one film, or as comrades in a film. There's always like some sort of element of like trying to one up the other person and make a statement, and it's like, I just want to see superheroes fight, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
I just wanna
here.
see-
I'm here for the action.
Yeah, I want to see the
I'm here for what
superheroes for
yeah.
that. I want to see, like, for example, Black Panther. That was like a big moment, and
Oh,
obviously,
the
like, for
new
the
one.
black culture and stuff like that. The original one that came out like
Oh, yeah,
2018,
okay.
and like that was special for what it was, and everyone kind of knew what it was without the film itself having to like really go into it and be like, oh yeah, we're the movie with like all the black cast, blah 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 blah. But then I feel like since then, because I didn't really like the second Black Panther movie, to be honest.
Is that the Wakanda Forever?
Yeah, and like that film had a lot of stuff that it was dealing with. Obviously, it had Chad passing away, and they had to rewrite the script and things like that. But I just feel like that film just completely lost sight of what made Black Panther, and
which it was celebrating black culture, and now and then that second one, same as you, I feel like it was trying to celebrate black culture, like what's it, women empowerment,
yeah,
like it was everything in
all
one,
that.
wasn't it?
And then it had, was it Mexican culture that they had in, which is fine, but it felt like the film was focusing on that more than just the story it was trying to tell. Yeah, and like
that's the thing that they've got is that a lot of these franchises that are now having to adapt, which is fine, like be inclusive and do your thing, but don't be inclusive at the expense of like we've been watching these films since what was Iron Man
2008.
2008.
Yeah.
So like I know a lot of the non-binary community say that they've been around for years and years and years, but like I'm on about like publicly being around.
Yeah.
Like you said, maybe 2018, 2019. We've been watching the films for 10 years before this. So and most of the people that watch these films don't care. Like in terms of like we don't want it to not happen. Like we don't want it to happen. We're just here to watch a movie.
The entertainment.
So like if you want to bring in it, like even if the new Iron Man is a transgender woman, that's fine. Just bring her in.
Just bring her in. Just do it.
It doesn't have to be a big song and dance.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, this Doctor Who episode, you'd have to watch it. If you get a chance, honestly, go and watch it. And then, like, we can touch base on it in another episode or whatever. But there's no Doctor Who in it. The entire episode is like, the episode starts with the companion getting bullied for being transgender.
Yeah,
like that's how the episode starts. That's the undertone they set as soon as you get into the episode, and then it progressively just gets, and then the whole episode's like about David Tennant trying to like he's like been damaged from all his bad mistakes. Have you seen Doctor Who?
A long time ago.
So
David Tennant's probably the last one that I watched.
David Tennant's now back in it for a minute.
Yeah.
Like so he regenerated into David Tennant from the woman. And then yeah. The whole episode's like, you have to deal with this, you're grieving, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to let go, you got to do this, you got that. And then it's like, the way that they brought the new Doctor in was they're phasing out, and it's like a new chapter, and the Doctor's now reset, essentially. Not like the Doctor's just regenerated, because that's what he does when he dies.
No, yeah.
It's like, yeah, so, but there's a lot of it, isn't there? There's a lot, like even, like the new James Bond, like there's a lot of it. It's just like, you don't need to do it. Like there's things that are celebrated for what they are, and there's franchises that are known for what they are, and there's no reason.
James Bond's a good example, actually, because I remember, and to be fair, back when
because is it Idris now? Idris.
They wanted him to do. They haven't actually picked a new one, but like I remember back when they first. This was probably like over 10 years ago, because it was when Skyfall came out. That there was the talks of Idris Elba being Bond, and I remember back then being like, yeah, I love to see Idris Elba as Bond. But now when I hear that, I'm like, no, I don't, because James Bond's white. Like
he's always been white.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, and as a black person, I think this is something that came through age. Because when I was younger, I think I was more susceptible to that. Yeah, I want to see myself represented in these things. And oh wait, hold on. Might need your password. I want to make sure it's recorded.
Capital J. That's it. That's too many exclamation marks.
Just one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that's where you're going wrong. I think that's where you're going wrong. But yeah, no, I completely understand like where people come from when they want to be included and stuff. But we've created good franchises on every type of person.
That's
yeah,
the thing.
so you could just create another franchise, or you can just integrate the franchise. You don't have to completely change the franchise.
Yeah, you don't have to like change the pillar of it, because that's what I was saying. Like with James Bond, back then when I was younger, I was kind of like, yeah, I want to see a black James Bond because I want to just see myself represented in something. But as I got older, I actually know, because what James Bond is and what he represents, that isn't necessarily what I want to see a black person represented as. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it's just because James Bond's always been white.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed James Bond growing up. Pierce Brosnan's been my favorite James Bond. And it's like, that's James Bond to me. When I see him,
Yeah.
I was actually watching an interview with him recently, actually, like talking about his career. But like, he is the definitive James Bond, in my opinion, for like the style, the look, and everything. And it's like, we don't need to kind of infringe on that just for the sake of seeing a black
No,
person.
like there's incredible actors of every race,
Yeah,
color,
could-
sex. Like you wouldn't get you wouldn't change power.
Yeah, it's like you said
Like,
before with Django. Again,
Ghost
it's like
is Ghost.
it's like
you know?
Django is Django. Like the character of Django is specifically tied to the race. Like that matters. So it's like Django or Black Panther. You wouldn't do a white version.
Like Django might have been like the worst example I could have used, to be fair, because that is literally a film that is talking about black history.
But that is still an example,
but
though.
Like,
like
yeah, it's the same.
nowadays,
Same as you.
it
You
wouldn't
wouldn't get. You
surprise
wouldn't
me
get
if
like. You wouldn't get a white Black Panther.
yeah,
You wouldn't, because the Black Panther is from Wakanda, which is obviously
in Africa and all of
Africa.
that.
It's literally all designed
origins of the
for
character.
black culture
Yeah, exactly.
and history.
But that's what we need more of. If you want to do a non-binary character or a non-binary,
I think they could have some amazing characters for it. Like, I was thinking about it. What was I thinking about the other day? Like, I was thinking about when we were going into this, I was like, I'm going to come in with some examples. You know what I mean? And they can use them for free. like non-binary, again, like a character in Doctor Who could be a perfect character for non-binary. Like, it could be a character that like doesn't identify as any alien race as well as a normal race. Do you know what I mean? It could just be this entity which is non-binary, which is incredible.
Yeah.
It could be anything, you know. But like, because you generally don't know what you identify as, or non-binary could be like you could introduce a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Like that generally like can be anything.
Well, I don't know if that would be controversial, because I feel like they would take offense to that.
Do you think? Well, I
feel like, yeah, because I feel like that. I just feel like they would then say like we're trying to then, or the show would be trying to portray them as people that kind of like don't stick to what, because I think their whole thing is that is their identity and what they identify as, that is them. And I feel like if you were to then do it as a shapeshifter, I feel like people would try and say that you're trying to act as if they just chop and change when they don't.
Or maybe like a shapeshifter that has been their entire life been forced to change shape
until they find who they are.
Until they find who they are, or until they were released from, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, until they like discover who they are.
There's so many ways you could do it. Like even having main antagonists or protagonists, there's so many ways you could do it. Do you know what I mean? But you just don't need to change what's currently there and works. Like,
but I think on top of that, it's the focus. It's when you can watch a show like you're saying with Doctor Who or me with some of these Marvel things, and I can picture the corporate meeting that happened where they're like, right, we got to do this. You got to have the non-binary person here. Pivot. You got to have this woman say "fuck men" here because I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. "F men" here. This woman say, "Oh yeah, I'm better than this," and it's like the average person doesn't gravitate towards that when you're watching entertainment. Like,
and you can
if
see
you're
it.
like a misogynistic man, or if you're like super feminist woman that like is just very narrow-minded in that sense, then you might gravitate toward either side or reject it in either way. But like the average person's like we said, they're just coming to watch the entertainment. And like you get enough of that stuff outside of entertainment. That's why we come to entertainment to just sit back, relax, and be entertained. Whereas all you gotta do is go on Twitter or something if you want to get caught up in that storm of discussion.
Anything, yeah. But then it's also like, no, you've hit the nail on the head, to be fair. It's the focus and the pressure that you can see. Like, you can actively watch really good TV series, and then season 4, season 5, for instance, there's a dynamic change.
You'd be like, oh, this one must have been made like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
the rest were made like 10 years ago.
You can
This
tell,
one was made 3.
like you can tell, like, and now it's got to the point like where I feel like you've basically got this divide now, where it's like people are like, right, we're doing our best to show that we're included, and then you've got the complete opposite, where people are like, we're doing our best to show that we don't care about anything.
Yeah.
Like, whereas it's, why couldn't you just do whatever you want to do? Like,
and you'd have both sides.
If you feel like a non-binary character would fit, if you feel like a black character would fit, if you feel like a woman, a man, anyone would fit. A white woman, a white man, anything would fit. Just put them in.
Put them in there, and that's it.
And just have them, give them good depth, like give them a good background, give them whatever they need to be that character.
Yeah,
and that's
it's all about
you know?
the character, not necessarily what they are, just the character, and then you just build from that. A good example, well, kind of a good example, Zack Snyder in general. His newest film I didn't like a lot.
Like Is that the new
much.
Batman?
No, Rebel Moon. It's the one on Netflix.
I saw that
sci-fi
2 days ago.
You watched the film, or?
I really liked it, but I just felt like it ended so abruptly.
Yeah, there's a new one coming out. So there's a part 2 coming out in April, I think.
Oh, so they're quite close together. I was going to say, there ain't no way
you just leave it like that for 3 years.
Like, yeah, and then it was just like, it was the whole, I felt like the movie's pacing the first hour was incredible. And I was really getting to know everyone in this. And then all of a sudden it was like, right, like you've built the character of the lady perfectly. Random cameo for that robot.
Yeah. Just appeared and disappeared.
And you're thinking, right, this robot's going to have some meaning and mean something. And I actually feel for this robot now. Like, I was feeling a bit empathetic for that robot. And then you build this village, and then all of a sudden it was like 15 minutes later, she's got an entire squad.
Yeah, and it's like,
I was like, wait.
My thing with that film as well is it felt like a video game. It felt like not like a fetch quest, but it was like a Final Fantasy where you go recruit your squad.
Yeah, like, and every their specific
other scene,
attributes.
They're going to this place and you see the person fight and then they recruit them and it's rinse and repeat. But what Zack Snyder does really well, and I was watching another one of his films the other day, Sucker Punch, and it's a similar thing. He's always put like strong women in his films, but he's never called attention to it. They're just there. Like Sucker Punch is just about a bunch of women that have gone through like rough times, and then they find that strength from within. Even in Rebel Moon, the main character is a woman. There's a bunch of other of his films, even if you look at like some of the Man of Steel and just the type of characters he portrays the women as. So like a Lois Lane and the kind of agency she has as a character. It's like they're strong-willed women. They might be like fighting women, or they might just be strong in the mind. And it's got all of that in Zack Snyder's films, but it's just there. You watch it and it's there, and you pick up on it if
not
you're
in your face.
Paying attention. But he's never once like making a witty joke from a woman to a man, or a man to a woman, or trying to call some attention. It's just there, and like
that's the thing, isn't it? Like if you want equality, you can't put a focus on equality.
Yeah.
It just has to come.
It has to just be there naturally, and like in his worlds, women and men coexist, and the woman can fight. Like there's that scene in Rebel Moon where she's in the barn, and there's like 6 guys. She fights, kills them all, whatever, and it's like you don't really think about you don't watch that scene and think, oh, but that's a woman, and a woman wouldn't be able to physically do it. No. In his fantasy world he created, the woman's strong enough. It looks cool.
She's a badass.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Like, you buy it. And like,
and there's really good depth on the characters he puts in as well. Like there gives me absolutely no reason to feel any type of way.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even once think when I was watching that film, oh, I wonder like is she a lesbian because she's a woman? Is she who does she fancy?
And you know why you didn't think it? Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, not in that movie. Like if I was watching Sex Education, it matters.
Yeah, because it's about that.
If I was watching a rom-com, probably would matter. You know, but like in an action movie,
and who knows? Maybe in part 2 she kisses a woman. It won't make it different. Like it won't matter. Like it's like okay, cool. That's what that is. But like
not once. Like not even the and forgive me if I got the wrong nationality, but the Chinese woman with the swords.
Oh yeah.
Not once did I think, oh, maybe she's gay, maybe she's not. Yeah, I just thought, wow, she's got
cool
swords.
Like,
do you know what I mean?
But like that's what like I want.
The only one person I thought maybe might be gay is the prince.
I can't remember who that was.
The one that rides the Hulk thing.
Oh, like,
the second one, the Ranger one. I was thinking maybe he might swing that way. But that's just because like not once did he have his like, obviously you could tell he like looked after the parents. Not once did he have his sex, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was a bit like,
but that's the kind of thing, like I just feel like Hollywood's got so political. And I hate to use that word in that way, but it literally is, because it's like they're not prioritizing stories anymore.
But it's like they don't have a choice.
It's like, okay, this is your story, but can we fit this person in there? Can we get this person
Yeah,
in there? Can we get this Indiana Jones was kind of like that a bit. Like the new Indiana Jones is like an old indie, very like past his prime. He needs a bit of help. He's just getting old. And then you've got this younger female character who's like she's trying to one up him at every turn, which is fine. But it's the type of thing she says to him, and it's like it makes you just not like the character
yeah.
because it's like you just seem very up yourself.
See, weirdly enough, I've actually never seen a Indiana Jones, not one.
Not one.
I need to see them, but I just haven't.
Well, to be fair, the first three are really good.
But that's it's like that, yeah. But the thing is, I feel like personally, I feel like they don't have a choice. I feel like there's such a massive community now of people that want to be heard and want to express themselves and want to be made to feel like how they want to express themselves
Yeah.
is being recognized and like on a wide scale. It's like you couldn't bring out a movie that only recognizes non-binary because arguably only people that are non-binary or agree with that with that new I don't even know how to explain it without sounding misogynistic, but like new way of life potentially or new way to feel, you would only have them watch it, and on a Hollywood
budget,
budget
yeah, you
level,
can't afford that.
you
Yeah,
won't. But then you also can't afford to lose the
that.
people that love Marvel and love this and love that and love Doctor Who that do already watch them that won't watch it because you're not being inclusive. So like now, like it's this massive
I
like
feel like
catch-22 where you either have to make that jump, lose money and build a whole new base, or just include them. But then you also like
I think that's the solution because I feel like the very simple solution to all of this, which Hollywood just doesn't get, is you include whoever you want to include, but you just go
talk
about
about it.
it as normal as you can.
It's like, have
It's
you
like
seen a film on Netflix? It's a new film. I tried to watch it yesterday. I couldn't get through it, but it's called Old Dads.
no, no.
It's like every single way. I think this film is like maybe making an example of the way that people can be, but it's about everything like Karens
Oh
or
yeah,
Karens in
Bricks
asterisks.
and all that.
Like,
Yeah,
but like it's like the film starts off that he's had a kid and he wants to put his kid like have enough money to send his kid to university. Obviously, in America, things work very differently. You have to way look at that in the
yeah.
future, don't you? Because of how much it costs. Um, and he sells his company and the company's basically taken over by like a younger guy, and then the guy's like, yeah, my first act in here, he's like, I'm gonna shake the boat, I'm gonna fire anyone who was born before 1988. He just fires every old person in there. And then it's like the guy has like some sort of passive aggressive like comment, and he goes, oh, I'd like you to see this woman, and he gives him a like a contact details
Yeah.
for a shrink. And it's one of those ones where like it makes a massive effort of like how some
Highlighting
people
different.
can
Yeah,
be, but
yeah. Just
it was just like there's no need for it. There's no need for any of it. Like like you can make fun of whatever you want to make fun of in a spoof, so you have them in there or whatever. Like great, just make movies,
mm.
and however movies would be. I know we've said it like 9 times now, but yeah, just make content, and however that content you want that content to be portrayed. That's it. You don't have to put emphasis on anything.
And I think that's just the main thing because I think if you've got, of course, like misogynistic people, racist people, people that are just sexist and against different genders and all that, those people exist, but they're always gonna have an issue no matter what you do. So it's like whether you make the thing that's just normalized or whether you make the thing that really highlights it, they're gonna be annoyed, but they're gonna be more annoyed if you kind of like make a statement towards them through the film.
Yeah,
And it's like, just play it smooth, play it normal. Those people can just, you almost got to forget about those people. Like, forget about the racist and the misogynist and sexist people when you're creating your art. Just focus on creating the art for the people that are going to just digest it. And the people that aren't, because, like, for example, with us, we're not against any of that stuff. We're more so just analyzing it from a point of just a very honest thing. And this is another thing. I feel like these days you can't even really have this type of discussion.
you can.
Someone's probably going to come at us for this discussion. We
Yeah,
haven't actually said anything wrong, but I feel like people are so scared to just talk about it because someone's going to be on your
yeah,
ass for
it's fine.
something.
But like, do you know what? Like, I generally feel like the massive emphasis, and I can somewhat understand why people have the emphasis, um, of wanting to be heard. I understand it. Like, obviously, I can't truly understand it because I've always felt like I'm me
Mm,
and who I am. I wouldn't know what it felt like to not feel like I was me, and I couldn't even begin to understand like how that feels for an individual. So,
mm,
like, I understand it, but the big emphasis and push that they've got of being included, I feel like that's creating a divide. Like I don't know if you've ever. There was always someone in the group that was always unsure about what they were or whatever, and they were always acted a bit different. They were always maybe a bit like, I don't know, like you always have someone in your group that like paints their nails and they're a guy, and it was always like he just paints his nails, he's a guy, that was it. But now it's like
You got to put a label on it.
some people will be like, oh, like because he's doing that, and because there's this whole other community of people that are doing that now there needs to be this and this, and now it's like you're almost unsure about how you can even act around people, or the divide has been created by the push to be included, whereas you were just included before. Yeah, you might not have been recognized for how you're feeling, but you were included. Like no one was ever like, oh, well, I mean, me personally, and I think I could speak on behalf of you because I've known you long enough. I don't think like we've met some questionable people in our time, and not once have I ever turned around and been like, don't include him, he's weird. I've just been like,
that's the person.
He or she's always been like that.
Yeah, that's them.
You either want them out, you don't. You know what I mean? Like, and that was it. But now it's like one of those ones where it's like, am I going to get in trouble for calling he, they, for calling they, him, or
I've got something to say about that
or
too.
them,
so,
she, and I like, what do I do now?
My problem with, well, it's not a problem I have with that. It kind of is a problem with that. Is I think everyone needs to be very mindful of the fact that, regardless of what you think now and what you kind of like, what we're growing accustomed to now, because I think the world is growing accustomed to this now, because like I said before, it kind of feels like a new thing, even if it was something that people weren't openly expressive about before. To the world at large, it's a new thing. People have to be mindful that on face value, if you're walking down the street, based on history and how things have always been, someone's going to look down the street and say that's either a woman or that's either a man. So if you're then approaching that person and speaking to them, you're going to say a he or a she. Now, I think a lot of people, non-binary people, will automatically take offense if you were to say that, but they have to remember that there's no other way for us to identify, unless we know you or have spoken to you prior.
Oh,
excuse me.
Some water,
we won't know. So there's going to be times where people are going to address you as a he or a she, and they're just naturally not going to know. And it doesn't mean that they're against you or that there's hate. It's just a simple fact that how else are we supposed to identify you without knowing you and having that conversation first?
But it's also like my biggest argument with the with the vocabulary side of the argument is that they them are a plural version of anyone. Like you could say like I'm going out, like, oh, I'm going out with them, like as in the other group. Oh, I'm going out with that group tonight. I'm going out with them. Yeah. It's always been like multiple, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's like he, she, individual. They, them has always been like either a group or if you're talking on the third person.
That's true. Like
we've been taught it on a grammatical level, like on an English level.
You say them, and you're like, oh, you're going out with the girls tonight. Or
yeah, like that's what you say. Oh, you're going out with girls. Yeah, I'm going out with them. You wouldn't say, oh, I'm going out with and name it every single person. It's always been like from my knowledge, unless I'm thinking of it wrong. They, them has always been when you're talking in the third person. We've always used those words, just not specifically. But now it's like you want me to refer to you as them, when in my head I've been.
That's what I mean. It's hardwired. It's stuff that's hardwired into human nature.
I've learned to say them when I'm talking, not when you're not here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But that's the thing. Like, I think that's just why everyone's got to be mindful of. People are going to make mistakes, and it's not coming out of a place of hatred. It's more so people are learning on the fly now how to react to this, to try and be respectful to non-binary people. But you're going to slip up because we've, for our whole lives, have been saying these words by dictionary definition in a particular way. And then now we've got to be mindful of how we're saying it in another way.
Yeah, like I said, I've always said, like, I would say, like, I'm trying to think of an example, but I'd say, like, if I was talking about you but not wanting to use your name,
yes,
I would say they said this.
Yeah.
And that would be about you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he said this. I would never say he said this, because let's say, for instance, I was talking about you to someone and trying to get advice. A good example is like, you know, when you're like low key trying to get advice about your own situation with a woman, and you say they, you don't say she or he, or you say they said this, and you're talking about the male, which is actually the metaphorical you.
Yeah.
You would say they.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Or what do I say to them? Not what do I say to him. I wouldn't say that because
you're trying to keep it as a blanket kind of thing. You're not trying to make it.
Well, yeah, because you use it specific. As a you use it as a like he, she is a specific term.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you just said. But now you got to use the blanket term as the specific term to an individual, which is hard.
When, like I said before, if you're walking down the street and you want to introduce yourself to someone, there's no visual thing that you can see that's going to identify that you're talking to a non-binary person. So you're never going to have that initial thing that's going to let you know. So it's like I said, if I'm approaching a woman, I know that I can speak accordingly in terms of like whether I address her as a she or whatever. But a non-binary person is kind of, it's up in the air. So it's like I think, and I'm not going to speak. I can't speak for them because I'm not a part of that. But from what I've seen, some non-binary people will take offense to that immediately without realizing actually maybe this person is just kind of harmlessly making the mistake because they literally don't know me. Like, and there's no way for them to identify what I identify as without me telling them because.
But that's the other thing as well. Like, I feel like personally, my arguments are actually not arguments, but they're quite good points. But it's also like we've heard a lot now about what they don't want to be called. Like, what do you like being called? Because as a woman, you've got terms that you like to be called. So let's say, for instance, I was non-binary.
Yeah.
And I wanted to approach and court a non-binary person. Like, if I were to approach a woman, you can say like, I wouldn't say this, but like you could say like, "You're right, beautiful. You're right, gorgeous." What do you like being called? Like, let us know what you'd like being called, so then we can use those terms. Because again, like, there's so many ways that you can, like. But if I was to call a non-binary person darling, or they would potentially take offense to that because darling is associated to a woman. But that's because that's what women like. That's it. Like,
but that's the thing, and I think it is an education thing because it is like, okay, this is what it is now. But we need to know all these different because it is such a fundamental change to what we've known. We need to know that kind of stuff now because, like you said, if I was aware of a non-binary person and then I want to approach them in the same way that you were saying, I wouldn't know how because I wouldn't know what I could say.
Yeah, exactly.
Or what would cause offense? Because
exactly that. It's just like if I wanted to like flirt or do, like let's get away from the negative now about what you don't want to be called and what we should be doing, and let's just talk about what we should be doing or what you'd like. What you'd like. Let's create some terms, like, because obviously we're like, let's create terms rather than, because at the moment we're creating a new understanding, a new like way to address people, a new way to feel. So with that needs to be a new vocabulary. I feel it does,
because that would be easier,
and that way we can not separate because we want to include everyone, but we know
it's very clear cut what it is,
rather than trying to change stuff that we've been fundamentally taught from a young age.
Like, that's the thing, and I think that's what confuses it. And I think that is one of the key things that is causing the divide as well, because I think a lot of people are just instantly being like, this has never been the case until, let's say, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So what is this now? So a lot of people feel like it's just made up out of thin air. And I think that's where a lot of the aggravation comes from some people. And some people's like unwillingness to accept it is because they feel like, no, someone's just brought this up out of nowhere. Exactly. Whereas I think if it was not its own separate thing, but like you said, a separate vocabulary that is clearly defined for what it means, that would give it the clarity that would separate it, and I think people would be more willing to kind of accept it.
And that is also fine. It's that like I said, can I call a non-binary person handsome? Can I call a non-binary person darling? Can I call a non-binary person beautiful? I know men and women can be called beautiful, but men and women can be called beautiful. They don't want to be associated
with
men or women,
or the either or. So,
and then it's one of those ones. It's like when you're being taught English from like obviously specifically to the UK, because non-binary is everywhere, but because we're from England, I'm talking. When you're being taught English, are schools now going to teach you that they, them aren't actually talking about the third person, but are actually in turn talking about a type of person? Because what do you replace those words with?
That's the thing. That's where it gets very confusing, and that's confusing for us as adults. Imagine a kid trying to grasp.
Imagine one day
the idea of they, them, as we've always said it, and then.
Imagine me and you are talking and I'm like trying to get advice from you and you've been taught the non-binary the new non-binary standard. And I've been taught on the old whatever you want
Yeah,
to call
yeah,
us
just
standard.
English,
And
just
I'm trying to get advice from you about someone else, and I go they them, and then you're instantly picturing that I'm talking about a
a
non-binary
non-binary
person.
person,
So
not.
you're giving me advice as if I'm trying to.
I know what you're saying. You know, I've never even thought of that before. That's a really good point,
Do you know what I mean?
because
It's like
it's a crossover that shouldn't exist.
so I'm like Terrell, like oh like I need some advice, mate, and you're like oh yeah, like what's up, bro? And I'm like oh like I've been chatting to this like all my friends come up to me and they need a bit of advice about someone they're chatting to, and then you're like oh okay, so you're
Yeah,
giving me advice about a non-binary person. You're like yeah
yeah,
no, don't ever do this, don't ever do that, and I'm like oh I'm going to report that back. And in my head I'm like oh, I'm going to do this, and it's
yeah.
completely wrong because what I'm actually talking about is a
The
non-specific
specific thing. Yeah, and it's the same as if you were trying to talk as a group and you're referring to a group as like them. Oh no, I'm going. Oh, I
and
don't know
they
how to
think you're
say.
talking about an individual non-binary
Yeah, so
person.
it's like yeah, that's a very. I've never thought of that before, but that's a very interesting. But this is the thing. It's like it's not a case of this thing can't exist. But I just think it's more of a case of we need to like clearly define certain things within it so that it's clearer to everyone. Because I think that confusion is what's fueling a lot of some people's hate. And like I said, some people are just gonna hate regardless, and those people you kind of almost got to ignore. But there's a lot of us that are just don't fully understand it in terms of how we're supposed to respond to it
And
in a
like
way that's respectful. Like we'll always try and be respectful, but we'll slip up naturally because there's no clear boundaries of how you address these things with people, like how you do approach a non-binary person
yeah,
and how you would compliment a non-binary person in a way that is gender neutral. Like I don't know what would that be? What's a gender neutral way of
well, exactly, because there isn't
complimenting
really
someone?
gender neutral things to say. But then, yeah, it's like you said, it's a lot of us are just more so like there's such a grey area around it all. We just don't know what to do. And then now it's like we're almost being penalized in the fact of like some of the stuff that we love to watch is now having to take a dynamic curve somewhere it doesn't need to be,
Mm.
when we would actually just sit there and be like, you know what? This was very good. I don't
Yeah,
care what
yeah,
sex they were, how they felt. Like, not because I don't care how you
care,
feel,
but
but
it's like
because I'm not watching
it's
to
because yeah, it's
know
because
how
it
you
doesn't matter
feel.
in like the politest way possible because it can sound in a negative, but not in a negative way. It's like it doesn't matter. Like it's like whether they're non-binary, whether they're gay, whether they're straight. It doesn't matter. If you give me a good character, I'm gonna like the good
Yeah,
character.
I'm watching
And
for
like,
that, and now we're almost being penalized because it's like now all this some of the stuff that we love is now having to adjust so dynamically.
mm.
And we didn't need that dynamic. We like
And it's the
move
intentions.
it
I
in a
think it's
few years.
the
You know what I mean?
intentions of it. I think is the big thing as well because,
Introduce a new Marvel
like
character
you
who
said, if
doesn't
you,
identify, and
yeah,
then build them up to be an amazing Marvel character, and we would still love that character.
yeah.
We wouldn't turn around and go right. They have to be a man or a woman.
Well, it's like if
They
they
have to
said
be black or white.
do flipping Iron Man's now
Yeah,
non-binary or
whatever.
Black Panther's white or this, like that's the
Yeah,
thing.
but yeah, well, we touched on
It's
it.
that's a fiery topic to start off on the first episode. But I don't think we said anything wrong. Like, and if there was anything that could be maybe pulled out, I think it was more coming from slight ignorance. But I feel like we didn't say anything wrong because
But
I feel
then
like
at the same
we're
time,
more so just raising points of from our perspective how it's affected the industries we like and the entertainment we want to watch. How we've given like what we think are the solutions to solve that, which are pretty simple to be honest, which is just focus on the characters. You can still have your gay, your
yeah, you're
non-binary
just doing too
characters,
much.
just make it about the characters still, not make because a lot of these characters are just becoming they're becoming the gender or they're becoming the sexuality and that is the character. Like that's not how I would view a person. Like I don't
Yeah,
define a person by their sexuality or their
I
gender.
wouldn't look at you
So
and go, you're the movie critique.
yeah,
You're
and that's
Terrell,
it.
and you have the
Yeah,
stuff you
and then
like,
that's the
and
stuff you like about it. So there's always qualities and things that people have, and that's what you remember people by. And the same with characters. So if you just start with a blanket, this person's gay, and then the whole thing you see about this character is revolving around them being gay to the point where it's almost like trying to critique and criticize anyone who's not gay. Like that just doesn't seem
yeah,
progressive to me in any way. And that's the same thing I would say about if they were to put a black character in something. Like I want to see black characters in cool shit because I never got to see when I was younger. Black characters are cool. I don't want to see black character in Star Wars just to then lecture the white characters
Yeah,
about him being a
being
black
black.
character in Star Wars. It's like, no,
And
just
like,
give me
yeah.
the fantasy. Just give me the black character with the lightsaber or something, or Finn with the blast. That's it. Like, and I feel like,
And that's the thing as well is like this will probably be like the last point I'll personally make about this, but I'm like obviously willing to listen if you've got anything else to say. But my last point I'd make about it is that like you're in an area of like the media is like so expansive, it's so massive. You don't need to like you could make an entire movie about that person expressing themselves in that way. You could make an entire TV series about it. Like Sex Education is a perfect example. That is a celebration of everyone.
Yeah.
It's ultimately about sort of hitting puberty, but there's a different type of person, everything, and that's exactly what it's about, and it always works well. Like it's one of my favorite TV series to watch, to be honest. Like I really like it. Like everyone plays their characters perfectly, everyone's expressed perfectly, but you don't need to start expressing it through action films and stuff like that. They can just be in them, but like there's places to go with it. Like you've got so many genres, so many types of films, so many types of
to explore
you can just do that there, and then the other movies be the other movies.
Just be the movie, and I think that is the key thing, because I don't think people necessarily critique, because that's the thing again, is like the films that are specifically about that, whether it's to do with race, gender, sexuality, the people that you'd probably see complaining about these things, say with Star Wars or Marvel the most, they're probably not going to comment on those things because they're not paying attention to it, because they automatically know, okay, this film or this show is about this thing. I'm not interested now. I'm not watching it. But when you're putting all that into the stuff that they do watch, but then also trying to like put a middle finger up to them at the same time, that you're literally like,
because that's exactly what it is, isn't it? Like, like I think obviously a lot of it could be like with Hollywood not doing it right, but they are essentially insulting certain demographics of people that watch it. Like on that Doctor Who, when he was like oh yeah, a male Tyler wouldn't get. I was like, but I'm a male.
Oh yeah.
So like, why have I just got?
I'm an intelligent man.
Why have you sent shots for me? Like,
just watching Strange. I'm just trying
to watch Doctor Who, like enjoy. Like I was sat there like, well, massive fire galaxy, just enjoying it.
In a good mood.
You know what I mean? Us men can't let go. Okay, fair enough. Like just slap me in the face.
But it is that type of thing, and I don't know if Hollywood's ever gonna.
I think the adjustment is slowly but surely, like in terms of Hollywood, I think Hollywood are adjusting a lot faster than that of like your free television. Like, the free TVs, obviously, when I say free TV, I'm on like BBC, ITV, stuff like that. They're obviously struggling a little bit more, but again, budgets aren't obviously anywhere near as big as Hollywood. So like, I don't know, but
it's an interesting one though, because I feel like
I'm gonna just put it out there that like my whole overall opinion about it is that I actually just don't care who wants to be what when.
Yeah.
But just don't throw it at me.
Yeah, and I think that's a very fair thing to say, like, because you can get very wrapped up in like, I think people do just get wrapped up in the kind of back and forth between the opposing side, and like I said, that's fine if someone's like wronged you and you're going up against it, but like, I think. And this can go for a lot of different things, but I think a lot of people sometimes almost victimize themselves and then go at everybody when it's like, actually, have you thought about this scenario itself and the fact that I won't say most, but some of these people, they're not trying to offend you. They may have accidentally done so, but then you got to think of what led to them offending you. And like I said, when it comes to, it's much more clear cut if you're talking with someone who's gay and someone who's straight. That's much more clear cut to define because it's still man or a woman, and the same with transgender. But when it's something like non-binary, that's so broad. And like we've discussed, the right terms and things like that aren't properly known or haven't been defined to our knowledge, that there's a lot of room for mistakes that people will make. And some people with good intentions may make a mistake, and they don't need to be flamed for it. They kind of just need to be told, okay, that you said this, we prefer for you to say this.
All right, that's fine. Yeah, that's cool. Exactly.
But
yeah, no, I think we touched on it.
Should
we spend like the last 10 minutes
just skirting off that topic?
Should we try and work out sort of like what we originally actually said we were going to do just before that topic.
The name and the top. Well, we got the topics down for the podcast. I mean,
We'll probably chat about anything. Yeah, I mean that was a very good conversation because we actually managed to touch on like sort of things that we are enthusiastic about, as well as a topic that is like other people be enthusiastic. But we managed to put like sort of express it in our way, which is quite nice.
Yeah,
like
I think it's
rather than just speaking about it, we spoke about it as in something that we hold dear, which is movies. So that's very good. But
and like we said at the beginning, like I feel like by the nature of how people react to it these days, just a simple discussion like that, and like I said, it won't surprise me if someone had an issue with what we said somewhere. Even though I don't feel like there is, but like by the nature of having this conversation, there's some people that will just have their back up straight away because we had the conversation without even just really listening to what we said or the intention of what we said. And I think that's the issue, is because people feel like they can't talk about it. Like
exactly,
they can't discuss this thing openly because they'll get attacked for
but
it.
we are gonna.
So yeah, I mean,
but
like
we're gonna.
We're not perfect, so there might have been something that I said or that I watched back. I'm like, oh, that didn't come across how I wanted it to. But that's the nature of life. Like people make mistakes, and it's like it's never coming from a bad place. And I know that within myself, it's never come from a bad place. So like, I
And
could
at
be
the
at
end of
peace
the day,
with
it's
that.
one of those ones like it maybe might sound quite ignorant coming from me, but I'm not really interested in being involved in people that took what I said in a bad way.
No, that's true.
Because anyone who
That's the
knows
thing.
me and truly knows me
Yeah,
knows that that there isn't malicious intent, and it's just my opinion. And I'm actually very inclusive, as you know,
yeah,
of everyone. Like I mean, my whole career is basically based around being inclusive. Like, if I wasn't inclusive in where I'm at,
you wouldn't
like
succeed.
I mean, obviously, I meet probably the best part of 100 people per night.
Yeah.
And that's everyone. But I couldn't turn around and tell you one of them that was non-binary, one of them was gay, one of them was a lesbian, one of them was straight.
And at the end of the day, that doesn't even matter for what you do, and
so,
that's the type of thing. Like,
but so yeah, so
it's
big description.
we went straight into the deep end on that one, but you know what? I don't even regret it because, like I said, like this is what me and you are about in a way where we're not afraid to have those difficult discussions or those talks that some people would shy away from, and just to state the things that I think a lot of people would agree with. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with a lot of what we said, in my opinion, but we'll soon find out when.
Why don't we theme our podcast around that? Why don't we theme every single episode, or at least for the time being, around talking about something that we know people tend to shy away from?
Good. I feel like we'd probably run out of stuff, but we could attempt it. I think we can get feedback on that too as well, and people could maybe then let us know what topics they feel like are kind of like.
But I mean, yeah, that's all stuff that sort of builds, doesn't it? And then people will have stuff that they'd like to, like, oh, we'd like to hear your views on this.
Yeah.
There might even be some stuff that like we'd have to read up about ourselves, like stuff that we probably don't even know. But in terms of the name, what are you thinking about, honey? I'm just chatting. SH star.
I feel like we could find something better if we give it more thought.
Or like,
I feel like what's gonna happen is people listening to this right now, they already know the name because it's already up, and it's gonna be something fire that we haven't even thought of right now. But in the future, when you're listening to this right now, you're gonna see it on the back. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get back to it on the name, I think.
Yeah.
But
what are we doing? Are we wrapping it up? What has it been like 59 minutes?
Yeah, we can wrap it. Yeah, that was the first episode. I mean,
I hope you enjoyed it, and obviously, like I said, again, one of those ones we have our opinions, and they can change, but at the same time, like if there's any feedback you've had, or if there's anything that you'd like to say or anything, do reach out. Like inboxes are open, and if there's anything that you'd like to hear us talk about, or if there's things that you feel that we need to sort of learn about, or that you feel that we're ignorant to, then obviously again reach out and we can do our research for next episodes and stuff. But that's me clocking out.
Yeah, and just to follow up what Josh just said, actually, I think that's an important thing. Actually, we just had that discussion. If there is any non-binary person that's watching this and like wants to give us some of the answers to what we said, or to give feedback for anything, feel free. Because at the end of the day, I feel like that's the big problem, is the fact that there's just the information. People aren't getting enough of the information. So we welcome that information if it's going to help us understand things more. And like we said, even just a simple thing of if you were to approach a non-binary person to, if you ask them out on a date, blah blah blah, or compliment them, how would you address it? Because
I think I'd add on top of that. Sorry to interrupt, but I think part of me actually, like, I mean, I've never met a non-binary person, and like part of me like kind of want someone to comment
Yeah.
and want them to like almost challenge some of the stuff we said, because like I do somewhat want to learn about it.
Yeah.
Like I still have the same opinion. I probably will never change my opinion of that. I don't want it thrown at me,
Yeah.
but I do want to learn about it, because then like you said multiple times, and this sort of like new vocabulary, or this new definition of um like how they want to be defined, and these words that we don't think, they could probably they might even be around right now, like the
Yeah.
non-binary community might have them in between them that
But
we
it
don't
needs to
know.
come out to everyone, and that's
Yeah,
the thing. Like,
so
without everyone else knowing, it's almost useless having it inward
but I
because
kind of hope someone does, or a few people do. I kind of hope someone reached out.
I think I know a couple people that identify as non-binary. To be fair,
I
I could
don't think
probably just drop them a message and ask them.
I don't think I know. I don't think I know. uh,
Yeah.
Not from what, like I probably do know some, but
But you're
not that
probably
I've
not
never had the
aware of it.
conversation
Yeah, or
potentially. Yeah,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's no one in close proximity to me that I know that
yeah.
is, but there's people that I know of.
I know. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
me definitely checking out.
But yeah,
It's been a
but yeah,
pleasure.
it's been a good episode. Yeah.
And
Until
we'll
the next
see
one.
you next time.
Next time.